welcome you all for this class once again. 6 MTT students for this maintenance of machine tool subject. In this video I am going to explain unit 3, that is maintenance of organization and defect list generation and reporting. This video includes question answers explanation of your question bank questions only, okay, which is very much important for the forthcoming semester exams. So let's start with first question of this unit, that is define line of reporting for maintenance with flow diagram. Okay, many feels that a maintenance department functions best when it reports directly to the top management. Okay, means that whenever a maintenance department functions best with it reports directly to the top management. This is similar in concept, having departments with umpire like functions reporting impartially to the top management rather than to the department being serviced. This independence is necessary to achieve objectives in the performance of the maintenance engineering functions. It is not practical to permit maintenance engineering to report to someone without full authority over most of the operations. Lack of such authority is most trouble is assigning priorities for work performances. Maintenance engineering shall report to a level that is responsible for plant groups, which it serves: plant manager, general manager, managing director, depending on the organization. It needs to report to higher management through or central engineering department should not exist, it should be established. Okay, so from low level worker to top level management, whatever the actions will be taking place, that is nothing but flow diagram. Okay, so just you have just analyze yourself, means that what kind of activities will be taking place while changing the parts, while changing the equipments. Okay, that should be taking a permission from top level management, then only it is easier to buy that part and taking with that permission from top level management. Okay, so that kind of work whatever is taking place, that is nothing but flow diagram. Okay, you have to just write it in your own words, no problem. So this is all about defining the line of reporting for maintenance with flow diagram. Second question, explain the manpower requirement. Okay, what actually the manpower requirement in an industrial areas, that we should explain here. The number of maintenance employees necessary to maintain a plant properly depends on many factors. Okay, it depends on the many factors. Hourly personnel means that in terms of hours, okay, that working will be taking place, that can be defined as maintenance manpower divided by total operation persons. Okay, means that maintenance work, which type, that is to be defined by the number of people working. This ratio is used to measure relative efficiency. So this relation is to used to measure the relative efficiency of the department. In practice, it will vary with type of machinery and equipment. expressed in terms of investment figure per operating employee to estimate the number of maintenance employees necessary to maintain a plant properly is approach based on the estimated size of the maintenance cost. Experience factors can be used in many industries to estimate maintenance cost as a percentage of investment in machineries and equipment before starting a plant. Actual manpower requirements must be controlled by a continuous review of work to be performed. Backlog work records are help here, and the trends of the backlog of number of employees to maintain the proper individual craft strength and total work. The number of operators per supervisor is called supervision density. Okay, so here number of operators per supervisor, that is called as supervision density. It is used to measure for determining the first line inspectors needed to handle operators. The number of operators per supervisor is as low as 8 and as high as 25. 12 to 14 seems to be the average. Okay, so like this you have to write the explanation. Third question. Explain briefly the selection process of the craft person. So workers that we call as craft persons. So explanation regarding selection process of those craft persons. Normally the union contract may have sharp restriction to select the craft person. If there are no such basis for selection, should be done on education, general intelligence, past experience that are to be considered. If you need plant person to do the work in a plant, the factor shown above plus candidates age should be considered. In addition, personal qualities such as skills, physical fitness, mental ability, moral aspect, educational qualification, emotional stability may be taken into the considerations. With all these conditions, that selection process of the craft person can be taking place. So moving on to the next question. Fourth, explain the training method of craft persons. Okay, so what after selecting, what type of training is to be given to that craft persons? We'll see. Training of the craft person can be performed in three ways: formal instruction, informal instruction method, on the job instruction method. Okay, as you know already, this is I told in the classrooms very well. Okay, we'll see one method by one method. First method, formal instruction method. Many formalized maintenance training programs are currently available in packaged form. The most common is apprenticeship training program that conforms to the National Apprenticeship System of US Department of the Labor's Bureau of Apprenticeship. It has accepted by most unions. Most other formalized training programs are also developed by major firms for their use, and they are made available at a free to others, but they are more expensive. Then informal type instruction method. This consists of spot exposure of person in some phase of the plant activities. It takes in the form of lectures, sound, slide films, movies, trips to suppliers who provide instructions on their particular equipment. These are directed more at developing the advanced mechanical skills. And third method, that is all about that informal instruction method, okay, that is given on the work platform only. Okay, so this is all about explanation the training method of the craft persons. Next question, explain the selection process of the supervisory persons. Okay, after next level of the craft person is supervisor. Okay, how the selection is to be done, that is to be studied in this question. Only general rules can be set for selecting supervisory people for maintenance. So here general rules can be maintained. Those directly in charge of the craft persons, good candidate should be selected and be capable of handling a number of diverse problems at one time. There are advantages in selecting the people entirely among the maintenance employees who is having leadership quality should be considered. So here leadership quality that supervisory person should have, so that's why they are acquiring the leadership qualities persons. But too much importance is not given to long years of experience, and it is a poor selection of the supervisory persons. Serious consideration is given to the technically trained individuals when choosing them for a maintenance. If possible, aptitude testing and comprehensive interviews should be a part of the selection process. The use of comprehensive interviews in the selection of all supervisory employees of the great values are to be considered. Likewise, the selection process of the supervisory persons can be done. Next question, explain the training method of the supervisory persons. After selection, what type of training is to be given to that supervisory persons? Okay, we'll see. Training of the supervisory persons can be performed in three ways. One, initial orientation, formalized and sustained program of the leadership training, and third, on the job coaching. We'll see one by one clearly. First, initial orientation. It gives the candidate basic data about the management team he is joining and about the company and department policy, and also the scope of his person responsibilities and the limits of the authority delegated to him. Okay, so like that, in initial orientation that kind of suggestions can be given. Second, formalized and sustained program of the leadership training. This training gives a continuous effectiveness, improved performance, and should include such subjects as human relations, conducting interviews, teaching methods, safety, and many other goals of this part of the program should towards increasing the candidate's effectiveness as a supervisor. Okay, likewise, that formalized and sustained program of the leadership training that can be given. Next, third, training on the job coaching training. This is very important for the main supervisory persons. There is no substitute for frequent informal personal contact with a superior concerning current technical person or personal problems. This type of development is a force for high morale and gives job satisfaction. It should include both praise and criticism. The first one for sincere and latter constructive. Bear in mind that highly capable and motivated supervisors will make overall maintenance simpler. easier, for more economical. Okay, so this type of conditions in this on the job coaching can be done. So this is all about explanation regarding training method for the supervisory persons. Okay, next question, list any 5 defect list generation. Defect and failure are normally taken to mean the same, okay, which is somewhat same meaning in general. Defect is a more general term, normally meaning fault. Okay, defect is nothing but fault, mistake, flaw, deficiency, shortcoming, or any type situation. Failure normally means not succeeding, deteriorating, decaying, fatigue, stoppage, etc. on any item for any reason. In an industry, there are following 5 major sources of the defects. Which are those? We'll see here. 1. Failure. Unintentional damage, that is, bearing, scissor, shaft, or gear teeth breakage. Second, workmanship. Not enough skill or motivation. Example, misalignment, poor welding, etc. Third, design. Design not fitting actual requirement and condition, etc. 4. Material. Defect at manufacturing, sourcing, storage or handling stages, etc. Operation. Mal-operation, incorrect use by operating persons, and operational problems, that is pump cavity in a pump, ignoring the vibrations. So these all are the some list of the defect list generation. Okay, so you have to read this list generations again and again, then only you are remembering these points. Okay, so it is quite important. Next, list the classification of failures. Okay, how the classification of done by the that failures, we'll see here. Failure can be classified into following categories: failure based on inherent reliability characteristics, dependent failure, these are chain effect or secondary failures as a result of design defect or otherwise, manufacturing or burn in failures. These may include failures due to poor manufacturing, erection and commissioning, etc. Wear out failures including fatigue failures, etc. Operation induced failures, maintenance induced failures, equipment damage due to accident, environment degradation or otherwise other thing related to that failures. Okay, so these are the some types, okay, of the failures. Next question, define defect list reporting. Okay, how the defect lists are to be maintained and how that reporting is to be done, we'll see here. Defect and failure are normally taken to mean the same. Defect is a more general term, normally meaning fault, mistake, flaw, deficiency, okay, or shortcoming or any type of situation. Failure normally means not succeeding, deteriorating, decaying, fatigue, stoppage, etc. on any item for any reason. In an industry, there are following 5 major sources of defects. Okay, which are those sources of the defects? We'll see here. Failure, unintentional damage, that is bearing, scissor shaft or gear teeth breakages. These all types of the failure comes under this one. And second, workmanship, not enough skill or motivation. Example, misalignment, poor welding. Okay, at that time this not enough skill and motivation is required. Third, design not fitting actual requirement and condition, etc. Fourth, material, defect at manufacturing, sourcing, storage or any handling stages. Fifth, operation, mal-operation, that is incorrect use by the operating person. Operational problems, that is pump cavitating a pump or ignoring vibrations. These all type of failures, these all types of the mistakes are considered as list reporting of the defect. Okay. Next question, define defect list recording. Okay, how that recording can be done, that defect lists. Okay, what is the use of listing, that all things comes under this one. Okay, explanation regarding this question is, the faults generated at various stages in different equipments and assemblies in an industries are to be recorded, reported and collected at a proper, often centralized planning section for analysis and planning further actions. In different industries, different ways of reporting and collection of the failures may be followed. In general, following sources agencies are used for such a jobs are: first, for maintenance customers. Okay, maintenance customers are production departments, facilities, operating departments and administrative groups. Each maintenance customer may have unique expectations and requirements regarding maintenance. And second, maintenance persons, which includes maintenance checklist and maintenance work orders. Third, centralized inspection agencies and inspection schedules. The agencies may be centralized inspectors, centralized lubrication cell, centralized hydraulic cell, centralized building and structural inspection cell, safety, housekeeping and environmental inspection cells, and other such agencies. They may have different inspection schedules. Okay, so this kind of things are the defect list recording type can be done. Okay, so this question may ask for 10 marks, so you have to read it again and again, then only you come to know, okay, what type of working will be taking place in this regards. And next, 10 marks questions which almost I covered in the previous one. Like wise, explain the selection and training of the craft persons. Okay, I explained about this one in this slide, that is here, selection and training of the craft persons, how that training is to be given and selection method is to be applied for those craft persons. Okay, here this slide explains selection process of the craft person, and this slide explains the training period of that craft persons. Okay, you have to merge the answers to get that 10 marks question answering. And similar to the selection and training of the craft persons, okay, the same kind of that slide. Okay, in next slide only I explained about selection process of the supervisors. Here, this all things you have to read and remember the points, and this slide explains the training of the supervisory persons. Both you have to answer in that question to get a 10 marks, that is 10 marks question. Then explanation defect or failure generation. Okay, I already explained about this one. Explain defect reporting and recording. Okay, in the previous slide only I told about this one. So see here, this one is defect list recording. You have to read this carefully. Okay, because so many factors comes under this one. Okay, so that's why you have to remember all these points. And list reporting, you have to remember these: failure, workmanship, design, material, operational things. Okay, those points you have to remember and write down. This only comes when by practicing again and again, that I'm telling. You have to remember all these points while writing the answers of the 10 marks questions. Okay, so this concludes the unit number 3rd. So you have to remember all these questions because the questions may ask from these questions only. Okay, that's why I'm telling you have to read it carefully, and at the same time you have to refer the notes as well as this video also, because it helps a lot. Okay, lively can be done. So you have to read the notes as well as see the video. Okay, then it will becomes very helpful to understand the concepts, as well as you can write in your own words the answers. Okay, no problem, but only thing is that you have to remember the key points regarding that question, that chapter. Okay, so thank you.